I'm breaking out, I'm breaking in. I just can't help this state I'm in. I'm on my way, y'all. So put your shades on, this light's so bright, it's blinding. I'm radiating love, I'm radiating love, I'm radiating love. Breaking free, I'm breaking ground. I can't explain this thing I found. The clouds have moved on. I got my groove on. This pep in my steps infectious. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love. I've been stuck in a rut. I've been shit out of luck. I've been wondering what is up with me. And then I realized it's up to me to decide. I can just be radiating love. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love. I'm radiating love.
Oh, yeah, you are an irresistible magnet with the power to attract unto yourself everything you desire. You know, before we started the broadcast this morning, well, first of all, welcome to the New Thought Spiritual Center Sunday celebration. Before we started the broadcast this morning, and I was listening to the countdown song, which is Radiate by Josh Manley, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe this week I'll start with a spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. And then I thought, wait a minute, they're listening to a beautiful affirmative prayer of life to radiate love. Wow. Just love that song. You know, I keep thinking, well, maybe it's time to have a new countdown song. But this song it gets me ready for the Sunday celebration. I don't know about the rest of you, but it gets me ready. I'm sure it does for you. Such a great song. And I thank Josh for letting us use it for a couple of years now. Great. So welcome again to the New Thought Spiritual Center Sunday celebration. I'm Rev J. Willick, and I'll be your host for this next hour. We have some guests, we have some music, we have words of wisdom. And we have right now, firstly, our statement of principles. That's why we're here. That's our statement of principles. That is what the New Thought Spiritual Center is all about. And every month we like to highlight one of the three statement of principles. And this month we are highlighting our purpose statement, which is reveal the divinity in you. In this philosophy, in this teaching that we work with, that we believe in, that we live is about the divine being within us. That is one of the primary parts of this teaching. The divine, God, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter what you call it, this power, this force, this energy, these atoms that are star stuff are revealed through us because we are it. We are made of it, just like the stars, the ground, the earth, the planets, all the planets, everything is made of that star stuff, is made of that divine stuff, is made of that God stuff. And our purpose in life, I know you have a specific purpose or a specialized purpose that you want to have your life be about, and sometimes that changes. But one thing that never changes is that we are revealing the divinity that is already within us. So that is what we're highlighting this month. And a few months from now, we'll come back to this purpose. That is the purpose of the New Thought Spiritual Center. So join me right now in taking 3 deep breaths. And what I want you to do is take slow, deep breath through your nose. And then we're going to hold it for about 3 seconds. And then we're going to let it out through our mouths, okay? And it's okay to make noise as it's going out through your mouth. It's great. You're just moving energy. That's what we want to do. We want to move energy as we center ourselves and ground ourselves this morning. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. Hold it. 3, 2, 1, and let it out. Another deep breath in. Hold it. 3, 2, 1, and let it out. If you're sitting down while you take this next deep breath, put your feet on the ground for me or cross-leg them if you'd like. And take a brief breath and hold that in and release it through your mouth. Because now is the time that we're going to enter our sacred space. Close your eyes if you haven't already, or put them at a soft focus if you'd like. It is now that we open our heart and mind to awaken to the highest, the deepest part of our divine selves. And this is where we plant the seeds of our greatest adventure, where we nurture them with the water of faith, the soil of spirit, and we call in the wisdom from ancient times to right now, to quantum science, and transcend time and space into the grace, love, and power of the universe. Yes, we're stepping into meditation right now. And this morning's meditation is going to come from the book Meditations of the Heart by the great Dr. Howard Thurman. Dr. Thurman wrote in a piece called Myself a High Priest of Truth, he makes the statement, I will make of my life a high priest of truth. I will make of my talents, whatever they are, a high priest of truth, and this I do when I use them to enrich life, to render life more human, to make life more gracious and personal. I recognize that my talents may be special endowments, or they may be the result of the advantageous path along which life and I have taken myself. Even so, I will make of my remembering a high priest of truth. I purpose in my heart that I shall not use my memory to store up those things which fester, poison, and destroy my life, or the living and life of others. I shall make it my study to preserve my soul in balance and liberty. I will use my memory to store up the excellent things of my experience, and in this way I shall lay up treasures into the law, into the heaven I live on earth. I will make myself a high priest of truth, recognizing the supremacy of the ideal of godliness and godlikeness, to which more and more, by its help, by its assistance, by the law of cause and effect, I will give myself. I will make of my life a high priest of truth. Now we take a few moments to allow those words to seep in, soak in, and to revel in. I am. I am the high priest of truth in my life. I will make of my life a high priest of truth. I will make of my life a high priest of truth. Let's take a deep breath together. Wiggle your fingers for me. Wiggle your toes. Move your shoulders just a little bit. Go ahead and slowly open your eyes. Come back. You're now in that sacred space. You get to keep that sacred space. You can enter that sacred space anytime, anywhere. Not while driving, of course. You don't need a special altar. You don't even need to go to a special place physically. Sometimes it helps, and of course it's fine that you do. But know that you can enter your sacred space wherever and whenever. I want to show you a picture of Dr. Thurman. This is a book that I love so much and that you've heard so much and will continue to hear probably all this month. I think I'll use this, Meditations of the Heart by Howard Thurman. Great book. Well, speaking of greatness, our sacred reader this week is Reverend Gary Altman is back. Grandpa Gary is back.
Grandpa, yeah.
There he is.
If you Adeline.
If you follow Reverend Gary on Facebook, you will know how proud and happy he and Barbara are at their new grandchild, and it's so fun to watch them adore her. And so
my cat is very jealous now because I post more pictures of my granddaughter than my cat. So, yeah, but got to be aware of that.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, so great. Well, my friends, enjoy and welcome with me, Reverend Gary Altman.
Thank you, Jay, for that meditation. That high priest of truth had me thinking about, sometimes I let that low priest of truth into my mind. The low priest kind of lives up in my mind. And it also had me thinking about the high priest of truth versus the low priest of truth that can live in our minds, and made me think of that story about the Native American story where the child is asking which one will win, and two wolves, one's the low priest, one's the high priest, and the master chief just says, well, whichever one you feed will win. So let's get off of that tangent for a minute, but my high priest lives somewhere else besides my mind, and I'll tell you where that is in a little bit. But first, a question. Has anybody else had any annoying chatter in your mind from, maybe you'll call it the low priest? Am I the only one that has that? It seems like I've spent my entire life in conversation with doubt, fear, lack, limitation, comparing myself to unrealistic role models of the perfect being that is maybe their perfect being, but not my perfect being. So I have to find that for myself. And this all takes place up here in my mind. So far it seems like this chatter isn't about to vacate my mind. So my ongoing hope is it takes up less space every day. I think this is the battle we all face, that battle of the low priest versus the high priest, and which one will win. So some call it the monkey mind. I love the low priest and the high priest this morning. The truth of my being does not live upstairs in my mind, though. My mind is a tool I use to make choices. It's my choice-making center. So it should be my servant, not my God. My God. My real master lies at the center of my being, in my heart. For my heart is not only a physical thing beating in my chest to sustain this life, it is a metaphysical thing also, meaning beyond the physical. It extends out from me, it extends into me. It is part of the infinite. It connects this physical being called Gary to the universe, and it makes me a spiritual being. It connects me to the power back of all things that created all things. And in that heart, in that center of my being, is the high priest of truth. And the high priest of truth is my intuition center, the source for my mind to make a choice from. So that high priest, that intuition is always trying to send something directly from that connection up into my mind and saying, mind, make your choice out of all these possibilities. It's amazing. You have an amazing life, but you have to make the infinite finite through your choice. So, Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind teaching, states that intuition is man and God. This is the director for my mind to listen to. And the universe has made it easy for us. You know what? We really don't create anything. The heavy lifting is already done. Everything exists in the mind, the one mind. And Ernest Holmes wrote in the Science of Mind textbook, the divine mind is infinite. It contains all knowledge and wisdom. But before it can reveal its secrets, it must have an outlet. This outlet we shall be compelled to supply through our receptive mentalities. So my mind has to be a receptive mentality for that heart source. All ideas exist out in the great universe that we already are one with. We just have to be available for them to flow through our heart to our mind, our choice center. Well, I know I'm no Einstein, but I was thinking about creating a formula for life, and I came up with this formula for life. It's heart plus mind equals love in action. Here's something else Ernest Holmes wrote in the Science of Mind textbook again. He wrote, no limit can be placed upon the spirit of man. It merges with the universal, for the two really are one. God is in us as we are in God, the same essence. The mind is an extension of the eternal mind or spirit. And his evolution is the unfolding of this everlasting mind or spirit through his thought. We are very complex beings. We have so many things going on, so many things happening at once, physical, mental, spiritual actions all taking place at the same time. We must be able to negotiate all these things pushing in on us at once. And sometimes we must create that gap in what we see, it can seem like a chaotic world. And we allow that message from our heart a clear path when we create that gap. A moment of silence gives our heart a clear path to reach that choice center, our brain. So let's have intuition be our guide today in this moment and in every moment, for it only knows perfection. It only knows our highest good. If we can just trust it and push the little low priest aside that tries to sidetrack us and distract us from who we really are, because I know who you are. I really know who you are. Sometimes I know who you are better than I know who I am. Isn't that easier sometimes? The trick is to know it for ourselves too. And I have an affirmation, an affirmative incantation for today. Jay writes these every week for us, and I just love them. I love sharing them with our community. And here it is. It's going to pop up there, and we're going to look at that together and read it. I'll read it. Today is a day of sacrifice. Today I take things to the slaughter. Today I surrender to giving up some things. Today I give an offering to myself and my future of the following. I forfeit procrastination and arrogance. I forgo judgment and close-mindedness. I immolate immolate or immolate hate and pessimism. I renounce bitterness and holding on to pain and suffering. I abandon playing small and needing to be right. And I kiss goodbye to any ideas of lack and limitation. Today, I waive all attachment to those qualities that do not serve my prosperity and health, wealth, relationship, work, or fun. I bless this day as so darn good that I cannot resist taking action in mind and body for that one great thing that will make the rest of the day full of ease, love, joy, and peace. Oh, wait, I just did that one great thing, and now I'm off to get a lot done today, this fabulous day, right now. Thank you, Jay, for those words of wisdom. And let's just take a minute to jump into a spiritual mind treatment. Let's anchor these words of wisdom, this service that's come this far into place. Let's create that gap right now. In a moment of silence, I remember that there is only one thing. There is only God. There is only this life. It is one life. We share this one life. We share this same truth that we are divine spiritual beings having a human experience right here in this moment. And we recognize that what is powering that human experience is the divine mind operating through us, because we are one with all of life. We are one with that great existence, that great essence. And in that connection, in that alignment, we have closed the gap between something else and who we are. We have unified with that source as that source, and we know in this connection, when we step forth into this day, we experience great prosperity in health, wealth, and relationships. They are powered by that formula that equals love, because we are allowing that love to come through that priest, that high priest that lives right within us, into our minds and into our choice center, where we just simply say yes to that choice, because that choice we're making based on our connection to the divine is always right, always good. It serves us well. It serves this day well. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this teaching that has allowed me to recognize this for myself and for each of you. I know this day is unfolding perfectly, and with great gratitude, I just simply release these words into that one mind, where I'm given back exactly what I have molded into it. Thank you, Spirit. Together we say, and so it is.
Well, all right. Welcome back. Thank you, Reverend Gary, for those great words of wisdom. Perfect match for what I want to talk about today. February, welcome. February's theme is identify. And the first thing we want to identify is what's out there. And I'm not just talking about astronomy or zoology or virology or that out there is just some sort of an illusion or the matrix concept or the philosophy of Descartes. I want to get to the nitty gritty of life. I'm talking about how what's out there is actually what's in here, in our minds. And you know when I'm talking about our minds, I'm talking about the divine matrix, my divine matrix, meaning, and yours, meaning your brain, mind, your brain, heart, mind, and your brain, gut, mind, all working together. There are infinite possibilities available in the universe, right? We say this all the time, but what you do with them in mind becomes what's out there. In 1819, 3,000 miles off the coast of Chile, in one of the most remote regions of the Pacific Ocean, 20 American sailors watched their ship, the Essex, flood with seawater. And they'd been struck by a sperm whale, is what happened, and it ripped a catastrophic hole in the ship's hull. And as they began to sink beneath the swells of the ocean, the men huddled together in 3 small whaleboats and took off. And remember, they were 10,000 miles from their home and more than 1,200 miles from the nearest scrap of land somewhere. And these men, they only carried rudimentary navigational equipment. This was, like I said, in the 1800s, so we didn't have any electronic stuff, and a very limited number of food and water supplies. Now, after 24 hours out there, they decided they needed to make a plan. Now, they'd heard a lot of frightening rumors about this part of the ocean, and they'd been told that the islands nearby this area they were in were populated by cannibals. And so, because of those rumors, their minds, these men were picturing themselves coming ashore only to be eaten for dinner. Now, it was possible they could go to Hawaii, but the captain feared that the severe storms that were prevalent during this time of the year, during the season, would get to them. And the last option they had was the longest and the most difficult. And that was to sail a good 1,500 miles due south in hopes of reaching a certain band of winds that could then push them toward the coast of South America. But they knew that the sheer length of this journey would stretch their supplies of food and water. So this is what they had. This is the choices they felt they had: to be eaten by cannibals, or be battered by storms, or to starve to death before ever reaching land. Think of the stories that went through their mind when they thought those were their only 3 choices. Those were the fears that danced in the imaginations of these poor souls. And as it turned out, the fear they chose to listen to would, of course, govern whether they lived or died. Now, after much deliberation, the men finally made a decision. Being terrified of cannibals, they decided to embark on that longer, much more difficult route to South America. And after more than 2 months at sea in these little boats, they did run out of food, and they were still quite far from land. And when the last of the survivors were finally picked up by 2 passing ships 2 months later, less than half of the men were left, and some of them had themselves resorted to their own form of cannibalism for survival's sake. Herman Melville, who used this story as research for his novel Moby Dick, wrote about this years later, and he said, all the sufferings of these miserable men of the Essex might in all human probability have been avoided had they immediately steered straight for Tahiti. But they dreaded cannibals. Why did these men fear cannibals so much more than the extreme likelihood of starvation? Why were they swayed by one story so much more than the other? You might get a hint from something American corporate speaker, author, actor, and entrepreneur Isaac Idsky reminded us with. He said, your fears distort your reality. Under the warped logic of fear, anything is better than the uncertain. Fear fills the void at all costs, passing off what you dread for what you know, offering up the worst in place of the ambiguous, substituting assumption for reason. Psychologists have a great term for it: awfulizing. Awfulizing. You know, it's awful to feel fear, where truth and fact get turned on its head, where the unknown gets replaced by the awful, and your brain and mind sometimes freeze. Has that ever happened to you? When you're in a state of fear, your mind just freezes. Everything freezes. Your body freezes. It's happened to me. You get drowned in critical thought with disruptive kind of emotions going through you, and your future, no matter how big or small the fear, your future seems bleak, even for a few seconds or a few minutes. And as we teach in this philosophy, if you continue with that, you will be allowing your future to become bleak. Fear, as they say in the famous acronym, is false evidence appearing real. Or you could say false expectations appearing real, or failure expected and received. Bob Proctor, the self-improvement giant who passed away recently after almost 90 years of life and probably 60 or more years of helping people step up to their greatest potential. Bob Proctor said, fear is a product of your mind. It's a mental process that is causing worry and doubt to arise within you. And since it's a mental process, you can use your mind to stop it and live a more satisfying life. Now, in neuroscience, fear shows up in the amygdala. The cortisol levels start increasing, the heart rate and blood pressure accelerate, and you've all experienced it in one way or another, big or small. And today I'm not going to get into the phobias or the theory of genetic predispositions to certain fears or the fake alarm versus a true threat to your life kind of fears. Like I said, we're going to get to the nitty-gritty here. See, your fears are your critics and your villains, real or imagined. They are your excuses, your rationalizations, your shortcuts, and justifications. They're your surrender to the negative or the pains from your past, your acceptance of others' opinions. Oh my gosh. That is a big fear for so many of us, the acceptance of others' opinions. And some of our fears comes from the ignorance of society's ideals or what they believe is ideals. But fears are more often than not just fictions you perceive, I perceive, as reality. The great thing is, like Gary was talking about before, you get to choose to see through them and let them go, if you want. Because you're the creator of your reality. I'm the creator of my reality. You are the creator of what's out there. Now, however, with that creative power comes responsibility. And the responsibility is choice. Martin Luther King Jr. said, we must build dikes of courage to hold back the flood of fear. Courage is the power of the mind to overcome fear. But I also want to talk about another type of fear, another acronym of fear. How to face everything and respond. See, your fears can also be one of your heroes. Fears can teach, inform, even inspire and motivate. So how do you face everything and respond in the most optimal way? Here's 7 tips. You ready? 1, chill. Chill, my friends. You're not going to think clearly with fear, worry, and anxiety filling and flooding your brain. So go distract yourself for 15 minutes. Walk around the block, make a cup of tea, have a bath, for God's sakes. 2, breathe and visualize your goals in a more happy place. Don't fight the panic or the rising heartbeat or even the sweaty palms that may creep in. Feel them. It's okay. Feel them. Stay where you are. And then place the palm of your hand on your stomach and just breathe slowly and deeply. It may take a second, especially when your heart is racing and your blood pressure gets up, to slow down your breath, but you can do it and do it deeply. And you feel your stomach rising and falling. And you can use this as a part of a habit you create to cope with any sort of panic or stress that might show up. It takes the fear of the fear away. Then, after that, take a moment to close your eyes and imagine a place of safety and calm. After you've kind of slowed your heart down a little bit, take that moment, close your eyes, and imagine a place of safety and calm. Maybe you're walking on a beautiful beach or snuggled up in bed with the cat next to you, whatever. Allow those positive feelings to soothe you until you feel more relaxed. 3, identify your fear and recognize the excuses that are screaming at you. Looks like my logo keeps screaming at me. Identify your fear and recognize the excuses that are screaming at you. So in that, you want to avoid fear only because it makes it scary, right? Fear gets scary. Face it. Face it. After you chill and do some breath work, continue to sit quietly for a few minutes and observe your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. Go ahead. Just feel it. Open your eyes then and maybe write it down. Write down what comes up, being specific as you can, and then look at the evidence and challenge those fearful thoughts that you wrote down. Have you ever heard of that happening to somebody else? These feelings, these ideas, these bodily sensations? And if so, what would you say to them? Say that to yourself. It's funny. It's not funny. It's interesting that fear makes us put off things instead of doing things, makes us stop things. You say things like, I'm really tired. I have other stuff to do. It's a dumb idea anyway. Really? How much truth is in those statements? Are you constructing excuses to avoid potential failure? There's a big fear, failure. It may seem much easier and less painful to make excuses than it is to put in the long hours and the energy that it'll take to make your goals come true. But excuses will not ultimately fulfill you. Not at all. They won't even put the fear away. It's a distraction that you don't want to indulge in. Because you know what? If you're too tired, adjust your schedule. You can adjust your schedule. Not enough time? Well, then assess your priorities and find out where you can make more time. Maybe not do this, that, or the other. The next time an excuse comes to you, maybe you should tell that little voice, no, void, negated, get lost, go away. Here's another one, the 4th one. Don't try to be perfect or act too quickly. There are times for action and there's times for reflection. And the next time you feel fearful, try something new. Do nothing. Sit with your fear for a few minutes and think about the root cause. What's the story you're telling yourself about why you can't overcome this fear? And realize this story is fiction. A moment of reflection can have a great effect on overcoming fear in a way that is productive, deliberate, and effective. And as far as your perfection goes, yes, you are a spiritual being. And as a spiritual being, you are perfect, whole, and complete right here, right now. But in the human experiences, sometimes your actions and thoughts may not be so perfect. That's okay. Life can be full of stresses, bad days, setbacks. Life can be messy sometimes. But that's when it's a good time to do number 5, which is recognize that fear can work to your advantage. I was speaking about that just a moment ago. Our emotions exist to tell us things. When you feel fear, your soul is trying to tell you something. Or whatever you want to call it. You don't have to call it your soul. Somewhere in your subconscious, you are trying to tell yourself something. So listen to that. If you feel overcome by stress or distracted by a subtle but persistent anxiety, it's likely a subconscious idea that needs your attention. So don't avoid it. Lean into your anxiety. View the fear as a piece of information instead of a threat to your survival. Use that anxiety, that fear, so that it becomes your ally versus your enemy, a critical source of guidance to reach your full potential. 6, of course, talk about it. If you need to, talk about it. But I want to warn you. I want to put a red flag out there about talking about it. Sharing your fears will take away a lot of the scariness of that. Speaking that, you start realizing, wait a minute, that's not so bad. That's something I'm making up. But I want to warn you against sharing it over and over and over again with everyone, because that continues to put your focus and energy on the fear and allows it to perpetuate itself instead of clearing it. And if you find yourself doing that and can't stop doing that, call the office. Call the office and make an appointment with one of our ministers, practitioners, so we can counsel you, so we can know the truth for you and get you back on that right path, that nice, good path, constructive path. Finally, number 7, know it's okay if you fail. You got to know it's okay if you fail. The number one fear people have when it comes to accomplishing their goals is the failure to do so. Accept right now, from the onset, that failure is a valuable learning process and it's part of success. Then you'll be less afraid of it. Everyone fails. Successful business owners, world leaders, prominent chefs, artists, scientists. I've read you stories about that. I've told you bios about people that have failed. Remember the Abraham Lincoln one. Failure after failure. Became one of the greatest presidents we've ever had. Society tries to shy us away from talking about failure. And that creates a false impression that to be truly successful, you must never fail. And frankly, my friends, that's bullshit. There's this story about a reporter interviewing Thomas Edison about the light bulb. And he asked Mr. Edison, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? And Edison replied, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. Great success is built on failure, frustration, and even catastrophe sometimes. Failure. It may show up, and it's okay. It's what you do with it. Fear is the past trying to influence the future, which it can't unless you let it. Because fear, like I've been saying, and like Bob Proctor said, is a thought process, and conscious thought is more powerful than unconscious thought, right? Nelson Mandela said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who, or she, of course, or they, who conquers that fear. So let's flip that acronym of fear around. Forget everything and remember. Remember who you are and where you are ultimately coming from. Where do you ultimately come from? The creator of all things. The divinity, the energy that made and is a part of the stars, of everything. The divine force that expresses itself through us, as us, for us, with us. Which means we ultimately have this kind of fear when you remember where you ultimately come from. And that is force elements at readiness. Force elements, the force, the power, the divine revealing itself within you. Force elements at readiness. Helen Keller said the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Your vision for your life equals what's out there. So let's have the vision, perspective, the frame of mind of a fear that equals feeling excited and ready, or facing everything and rising. My friends, you are the God of your experience. And if you find that difficult to grasp, okay, I understand that. Some people find that difficult to grasp right now. Some people find this difficult to grasp right now. That's okay. Try this on for size. You are the God to your response to any experience. You are the God to your response of any experience. So be that God. There's one principle and cosmic reality presence in the universe. Be that. Think as that God. Everything in creation originates from this one source that we call God, that we call by many names, that we call the divine, that we call the Big Bang, whatever you want to call it. There is only one source that. There is only one God. There is only one power and presence. God is all that is, has been, and will be. The universal creative power, the divine intelligence is all that is, has been, and will be. So live as that God. From this one infinite source comes the spiritual, mental, and physical universe, which we are a part of. All life, all love, all order, all energy, all harmony, all being, all physical form or effect, all creation comes from that. We come from that. Identify yourself as that God. When you do, what's out there will not only be infinite opportunities or possibilities, but the ones you have chosen to experience. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Let us place our hands on our hearts and together declare our love offering blessing. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of my spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you for your blessed love offerings.
We're on social media. Yes, every Sunday I record a TikTok video of our affirmative incantation for the week. So if you don't jump back onto Facebook to see the affirmative incantation in the comments or in the description section, you can always go to TikTok and find me at The New Thought Guy and watch and or listen. Okay, so thanks to Steve Apperson, our director and man of many talents behind the scenes there. And you'll also see some thank you credits for where I got the videos and music and stuff for our videos. And of course, I want to thank the Reverend Gary Oltman for joining us this week and bringing his words of wisdom and lovely humor. And thank you, Grandpa. And thank you for joining us this week. Before we get into our final song, which is a great couple of songs, actually, that the United States Naval Band does. I love bringing them back to us. Let us end our hour together with this spiritual mind treatment, okay? Do me a favor, put your hands together like this and start rubbing them. You know, everything that is happening in the universe and to you and with you and around you and for you and as you is energy. Stop and slowly bring your hands apart. You feel that energy? I felt that energy when I was in Chichen Itza a few weeks ago. Did I tell you about that? I think I did. This energy that came off that pyramid. That's life. That's divine revealing itself right there. That's a power that you have. So let's take a deep breath, close our eyes, or put them at a soft focus, whatever's comfortable for you. Release this breath. Let us know together there is one mind, one power in this universe. That's it. There's just one. The great thing is that each and every one of us, all living things, the minerals, the rocks, the animals, the very planet itself, and the planets in our universe, all come from this one power. This one power imbues itself in there, and we individualize it. So we can tap into this power at will, or just letting it happen. But for a great life, this is what I know for each of us. We tap in to that power. We reveal that divine power, that divine intelligence, that divine love, that divine wisdom in every thought we have, in every habit we create, in every experience we decide to bring into our lives, in every response we have to any experience that shows up in our lives. We are that divine intelligence right now, working life, living life, fulfilling our lives with joy and grace and love and money and romance and succulence, experiencing greatness and magnificence, filling our lives with what we decide, what we've declared are the most optimal and joyous experiences. We connect to that power, connect to that wisdom, and use it for not only our greatest good, but the greatest good of our community and our planet, and thus our future. This is the truth. This is what is happening right now. And we step forward, each and every one of us, step forward, put our feet in that water, and rejoice. We do this with greatness, gratitude, appreciation, declaration. We have a have perspective, a have attitude. Having joy, love, and peace right here and now. And so I release these grateful words into that universe, into that law that always says yes, always is open and receptive. As together we say, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. My beautiful friends, have a most graced and blessed week, and have fun. Thank you so much. Namaste.
My name is musician first class Corey Parker. I'm with the United States Navy Band, and we wanted to take the time to put out an inspirational video. So this performance of Reach Out, I'll Be There, we dedicate this to all of our health heroes and first responders all around the globe. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for your service.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call, no matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby,
just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry.